Good evening, everybody. The Music Fan is back, bringing smiles to the faces, knowledge to the people, and most importantly, music to the masses. Now, I recently celebrated my 28th birthday, and it made me look back on my life and how I'm allocating my time. Recently, I got a promotion at my work, and it's been great, but it's also made me have a little bit less time to work on everything else. And because of that, I needed to look at a way of organizing my life and everything that I'm doing so I can be the most efficient with everything that I do. That being said, with this channel, of course I want to keep it going, and I am going to do that, but I need to change a few things so that way I can bring out these videos the quickest possible and the most efficient way as possible. So I'm going to try a couple different things with these next few RU-ins. That way I can hopefully condense these videos to 10 or so minutes, be able to put them out quicker, be able to edit them quicker, and just be on time with everything. That being said, that's also another reason why I've been a little bit behind with these videos. I've been working a little bit more than expected, and because of that, I just haven't had the time to record and edit and listen to music as much, but I'm making up for it with this week. I already have all these videos planned and have written up most of these, so I just have to record and edit them. This week, expect a bunch of videos. But let's move on to the main event. On this RU-In, I'm taking a look at the new Pornographers album entitled In the Morse Code of Brake Lights. I've checked out this band before, but if you don't know who the new Pornographers are, they're an indie rock / power pop band from Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. They're basically a super group, with a lot of these members being part of other indie rock bands, having other solo work or side work, or even just being well known in other fields in the arts. I know of Nico Case by name, but there's also John Collins, AC Newman, Blaine Thurier, Todd Fancy, Catherine Calder, Joe Siders, and the newest member, Simi Stone, who is on for this album. We'll talk about her in just a minute. I started getting into this band with their last album. I checked it out and loved almost every moment of it. This was one of my more complete albums of 2017, having great beginning songs like High Ticket Attractions, The World of the Theater, Whiteout Conditions, having some great middle songs like Second Sleep and Coliseums, and closing off with a trio of great songs like Juke, Clockwise, and Avalanche Alley. A lot of their arrangements were rich with great layering of voices, especially harmonies as well as some vocal layerings throughout the song to make it a little bit more fun and energetic. You had a lot of jingly guitar, a lot of just really warm arrangements that harken to like more of an 80s pop idea. Just had so many rich ideas, making for a lot of really standout, interesting, and complex arrangements. John Collins on bass was phenomenal with a lot of really active bass lines. Joe Siders on drums has a lot of really complex drum lines. This whole entire band, when they're on point, are chugging in the best way possible, with all these members working together to make the best music that they can. With the addition of Simi Stone, we now have a violinist as well as another vocalist. This adds some more complexity and more layers to what this new album can be. Not only was I excited to find some more layering to this album, but I was just also excited to find out that there was a new album coming out in general. After hearing Whiteout Conditions and it being very close to my top 10 of 2017, and probably should be in the top 10 now after I listened to it so many times afterwards, I was of course excited to hear that they were putting out a new album. It was one of my more anticipated albums of 2019. It's finally here, and I'm really happy to talk about it. Going from the beginning, we do get a lot of what I really liked from Whiteout Conditions. You'll Need a New Backseat Driver, The Surprise Knock, and Falling Down on the Stairs of Your Smile. Each one of them has that really cool, intricate sound that I've been looking for. A lot of really stand out choruses with a lot of really harmonies. The one that stands out the most is New Backseat Driver because it keeps adding more layers as the song goes on, but each one of them are pretty serviceable when it comes to really memorable choruses. Melody-wise, You'll Need a New Backseat Driver isn't the best, but Surprise Knock and Falling Down the Stairs of Your Smile both stand out on the verse melodies. New Backseat Driver and Surprise Knock both do really well in terms of layering of parts, making for really cool journeys. Falling Down the Stairs to Your Smile stands out a little bit more though because it's a little bit of a departure from what I've heard from my conditions. That particular song feels a little bit more in place with a band like The Offspring or Green Day or even a Fountains of Wayne, like an early 2000s song. It feels a little bit more pop punk with its simplicity and with the guitar work, but it still stands out as well with the harmony lines on the bridge and the really active bass line. All those stand out to make it their own sound and makes for a very standout song on the album. Like I also said earlier, with the addition of Simi Stone, we also get some songs that have some orchestrated parts, making for some more dynamic and layered and more bombastic arrangements, but to their own effect. Class of the Roads stands out as the best one of these because of the sweeping orchestrated lines, the active drums, and just how much great energy is on here. It is the most energetic song on the album, and it definitely stands out as being that. However, it does get a little bit of a detraction because of just how repetitive the melody line is and how short it is. It still stands out though with that energy, but it is not one of my favorites because of that. Dreamlike and On the Rush also suffers a little bit from the same ideas. The orchestrated parts aren't as in your face. This one uses it throughout the song in little chunks, but it does stand out with those chunks. Also, I really like the little harmony lines in the bridge. It feels like these vocal harmony lines are mimicking a violin or any stringed instrument. It feels very quick. There's a lot of arpeggiated lines, making for one of the standout harmony lines on the album. It does suffer again with a little bit of a repetition in terms of the song itself, but the repetition isn't as bad as on Colossus of Rhodes. You also get a little bit of orchestrated lines on Need Some Giants and Leather on the Seat. To me, the two weakest songs when it comes to the orchestrated songs. Need Some Giants has some interesting orchestrated lines, but it doesn't come until the last chorus where it finally hits in a cool way. The other big issue to me is the chorus on there is really bland and one of the worst on the album, and it's just because of how it's sung. You have a very thin vocal part and it feels like it is drowned out by everything else going around it. It does have a very solid melody line, and the bridge part has some great energy with the very active drums on there. But the chorus makes this song stand out as one of the weaker ones on here. Leather on the Seat, as a closer, also leaves me wanting a little bit more. With Avalanche Alley from the last album, there was so much good energy and it just closed the album on the perfect way. With Leather on the Seat, it's decent, it has some nice moments, but it feels a little bit too long and a little bit too low energy to make for a memorable closer. We also have some more simplistic songs that we don't really hear on White Out Conditions. Some lighter and more simplistic songs. Opening Ceremony feels a little bit like Coliseums to me from the previous album, but it's a little bit shorter, a little bit more simplistic. It doesn't have as much substance as Coliseums. I do really enjoy the stair-like motion in the verse melody, and the harmonies, though simplistic, are really effective on the chorus. But again, that lack of substance makes it stand out as one of the weaker songs. You also have Higher Beams, which is a very light song comparatively to everything else that they've done. The verse melody, fine, but the chorus is really bland, really simplistic, and honestly pretty predictable. This song is talking about a relationship that's on the rocks and it's hard to keep it together and it finally lets go. The chorus lyrics are thank you for nothing. And then when you get to the last one, it's fuck you for nothing. That seemed pretty predictable from the get-go. It's also pretty slow and it just doesn't have enough energy to keep my attention. You won't need those where you're going. Nice sentiment song. This song being about a relationship that could have gone a long way, but the people involved don't want to actually keep it going. Really simplistic, really sparse song that is just weird arrangement-wise. You got some nice piano chords, but you also have this cymbal hit that's just keeping time. I don't know why you really need it. It kind of takes me out of the song. Also, the verse melody is one of the weaker ones on the album. Rounding out everything, you have One Kind of Solomon, a song with great energy and a really cool chorus idea with 11 beats for that chorus melody idea. A lot of great energy, though the melody itself is something that feels very familiar from a melody on Whiteout Conditions. Just the amount of lyrics and just how verbose it is. Not bad, just feels really familiar. Lyrically, there's a lot of really solid imagery on here, especially when you even think of the title of In the Morse Code of Brake Lights. When I think of that, I picture someone in the car and watching the car in front of them braking in Morse code. When you think of Morse code, you usually think of SOS, help. And from what I picture is this imagery of someone from the outside looking on a relationship that's going on and thinking that everything is fine, but finding little hints to find out that it's not so great. From there, you get a lot of really cool imageries on a lot of songs about relationships. Working, not working, starting, failing. Ones that particularly stand out to me are the first song on the album, You'll Need a New Backseat Driver, which seems to be talking about a relationship going a little bit aimlessly, and one person is looking for either a more driven person or looking to get everything back on track. The chorus line itself, which is really cool, is if you're going to travel and never arrive there, you'll need a backseat driver. So it seems like someone's trying to take the reins of a relationship or trying to take the reins of somebody and make sure that they actually do something with their life. The surprise knock also has some great imagery about not really trying to deal with the troubles of the world, but instead wait for it to happen until that, that surprise knock on your door when things finally fall apart. You also got Colossals of Rhodes, which seems to be talking about a relationship falling apart due to the people inside, but those people are blaming it on outside forces, whether it's other people or other events, and not taking the look at the relationship as a whole. It seems to be talking about it in a way of someone breaking into a house and taking everything that they own. Dream Like on the Rush, I really like the idea of that. It seems to be about someone who is quick to anger and blame others, because I like the idea of creating images in your head or twisting facts into a dreamlike state and then being on the rush, which is just really eager to fight. The last two songs also have some great imagery. One Kind of Solomon seems to be about how everyone wants to be followed nowadays in the social media age, and comparing it to back then when there was only one kind of Solomon, one King Solomon, where everyone else followed that person. And now it seems like everyone wants others to follow them. Leather on the Seat also is a perfect ender in terms of lyrically. After we have had songs like Colossals of Rhodes, like You'll Need a Backseat Driver, like You Won't Need Those Where You're Going, this completes that car analogy, that driving of life analogy in a nice way, where it seems to be someone is wanting to have other people join them on the road of life, but realizing that they have to have their own path in life first before you have those other people join you in the passenger seat, and being fine with that. There's a lot of really good imagery, and that's easy to find with a band like the New Pornographers. The problem with this album for me is that it just doesn't have the substance it did with Whiteout Conditions. Sure, the beginning 4 songs, You'll Need a Backseat Driver, The Surprise Knock, Falling Down the Stairs to Your Smile, and Colossals of Rhodes are killer songs. And you have some decent songs of One Kind of Solomon and Leather on the Seat on the back half. As well as Opening Ceremony, it's serviceable even though it's simplistic, but that middle part with Higher Beams, You Won't Need Those Where You're Going, and Need Some Giants breaks up the momentum that's going with this album. If the middle part was a little bit tighter, the rest of the album would have been incredible. But it just so happens that this one just hits a little bit of speed bumps. Although there's still a lot of really good songs on here to want to give this album a full listen. It's still a really fun ride. Unfortunately though, it just isn't as fun and imaginative as Whiteout Conditions. So if you like this album, I highly recommend that you take a look at their previous album, because there's a lot of really good stuff on there, and it's one of the better albums of this decade. But that is my time. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you like or hate this album and your reasons why. Let me know other albums from 2019 that you'd like me to review. Share this with your friends, and most importantly, subscribe to my channel. That way I know that you enjoy what I'm doing and want to see this channel become bigger and better for the future. Tomorrow I'll be back with another Are You In? Until then, this is Music Fan, and I'm signing off.